can be our defining moment because we have the time. It's the beauty of eternity. I just need the truth, just once.
Stop. I already know your question. And its answer. The truth is, I've never left you. It was always Stefan.
Raise your hand if you've ever stared at a walking red flag with perfect cheekbones, a smirk that could end civilizations, and thought, yeah, I could fix him. Welcome to the club, bestie. Population every Delena stan on planet Earth, and apparently Elena Gilbert herself for 8 straight seasons. Let's be honest, Damon Salvatore spent most of the Vampire Diaries murdering people, manipulating everyone around him, and turning emotional terrorism into an Olympic sport. His body count is higher than the population of Mystic Falls on a good day. He's arrogant, impulsive, self-loathing, and has the emotional maturity of a teenager who just discovered bourbon. And yet, we all fell for it. Hard. We watched him snap necks, compel innocent people, and treat therapy like it was a personal insult. And we still screamed at our screens every time he said, "Hello, brother," or looked at Elena like she was the only thing keeping him from burning the world down. So today, we're finally admitting the truth out loud. I Can Fix Him isn't a cute little side quest. It's a full-time, unpaid, benefits not included, overtime mandatory nightmare of a job. We're breaking down exactly why fixing Damon Salvatore is exhausting, why he made it look so damn entertaining, and why his biggest war wasn't with Klaus, the originals, or the Travelers. It was the non-stop psychological cage match happening inside his own head the entire time. Buckle up, this one's gonna be messy, just like Damon. Chapter 1. The Trauma That Built the Monster. Let's start at the very beginning, because Damon didn't wake up one day and decide to become a chaotic, bourbon-swilling disaster. No, that honor goes to dear old dad. Giuseppe Salvatore was the kind of father who makes you root for the vampires. Cold, abusive, constantly disappointed in his eldest son, no matter what Damon did. Damon spent his human life trying to protect Stefan, trying to be the good son, and all he ever got in return was beatings, lectures about weakness, and the constant message that he was a failure. Then Katherine Pierce showed up, beautiful, mysterious, and very much into playing both brothers like fiddles. Damon fell hard. He thought she was his one shot at real love, the thing that would finally make his miserable human life worth it. So what does he do? He begs Stefan to help him get turned into a vampire so he can be with her forever. Plot twist, Katherine never loved him. She was playing the long game, and when Damon woke up as a vampire and realized she'd chosen Stefan too, that broke something deep inside him. That rejection became the final nail in the coffin of good Damon. He flipped his humanity switch, leaned all the way into being the villain, and decided if the world was going to treat him like a monster anyway, he might as well enjoy the perks. Here's the brutal truth. Damon didn't become a monster because he was turned into a vampire. He became one because being the bad guy hurt less than constantly being told he wasn't enough, being the disappointment, being the brother who always screwed up. That fear of abandonment, that deep-rooted belief that everyone he loves will eventually leave or choose someone better, that's the engine that powered 170 years of chaos. Every impulsive kill, every cruel comment, every time he pushed people away while secretly begging them to stay, it all traces back to a scared little boy who learned that love always comes with conditions, and he usually failed them. So yeah. Thanks, Giuseppe and Katherine. You didn't just create a vampire. You created a walking, talking, bourbon-drinking attachment disorder with fangs. Chapter 2. The Brother Who Tried to Fix Him First. Before Elena ever signed up for the Fix Damon full-time position, there was already someone who had been clocking in for over a century, his little brother, Stefan. The Salvatore brothers' relationship is the original toxic codependent situationship of the show. They loved each other, they hated each other, they'd die for each other, they'd also happily make each other's eternity miserable if it meant winning. Stefan spent decades trying to drag Damon back from the edge. He watched his big brother spiral after Katherine, become a ripper's worst nightmare, rip out hearts like it was a casual Tuesday, and then act shocked when people called him a monster. Stefan was the one constantly saying, "There's still good in you, Damon," while Damon replied with some variation of "shut up and pass the bourbon." And let's be real, Damon made Stefan's job hell. He was jealous, petty, and took every opportunity to remind Stefan that he was the good brother, while Damon got to have all the fun being bad. But underneath all the snark and the "hello, brother" sarcasm, Damon was terrified of losing Stefan. That's why he'd rather push him away than admit how much he needed him. The beautiful and painful part is Stefan never fully gave up, even when Damon was at his absolute worst, killing people Stefan cared about, threatening Matt and Bonnie, going full revenge mode. Stefan kept showing up. And every once in a while, Damon would show up for Stefan too, hunting him down when he went ripper, choosing him over his own happiness in the end, sacrificing everything so Stefan could have a normal life. Their dynamic proves something important about Damon. Even his love for his brother was tangled up in that same "I can fix him" energy, except this time Stefan was the one desperately trying to fix Damon, and Damon was the one terrified that if he got fixed, he'd stop being needed. Elena didn't invent the "I can fix him" job. She just inherited it from Stefan, who had been running the unpaid internship since the 1800s. No wonder the poor guy looked exhausted for 8 seasons. Chapter 3. The "I Can Fix Him" pipeline. And then Elena Gilbert walked into Mystic Falls and basically said, "Hold my diary, I've got this." Elena didn't just date Damon. She enrolled in the world's most exhausting full-time rehabilitation program with 0 pay, terrible hours, and a client who kept setting the building on fire. From the moment they started whatever toxic, passionate, slow-burn disaster they called a relationship, Damon tested her constantly. He'd do something awful, kill someone, manipulate her friends, threaten to flip his switch again, then give her those sad puppy eyes and say, "I'm the bad guy, remember?" as if that excused everything. And Elena, she kept showing up. She saw the broken little boy underneath the sarcasm and the violence. She believed that if she loved him hard enough, stayed patient enough, called him out enough, eventually the real Damon would stick around permanently. We watched her endure the whiplash. One minute he's promising he'll never leave her. The next he's compelling girls or snapping mechs because his feelings got too big. She literally died and came back as a vampire partly because of the chaos he brought into her life, and she still chose him. Let's not pretend this was healthy. Elena wasn't in a relationship. She was running a 24/7 crisis center for one extremely hot, extremely damaged patient who thought communication meant brooding in the corner with a glass of bourbon while making passive-aggressive comments. And the wildest part, we, the audience, ate it up. We cheered every time Damon chose to be better for her. We cried during the "I will always choose you" speeches. We defended him in the comments like unpaid PR agents. Because deep down, Damon made the fantasy feel possible. Like maybe if someone loves you enough, really stupidly, stubbornly enough, even the worst parts of you can be redeemed. But here's the uncomfortable truth this chapter forces us to sit with. Elena wasn't fixing Damon, she was surviving him. And for a long time, surviving looked a lot like love. The "I can fix him" pipeline is seductive because it makes us feel powerful, like our love is special enough to succeed where everyone else failed. Damon Salvatore just happened to be the ultimate final boss of that particular delusion.
But she's gone. Ooh, cover up, Fabio. We got a crazy ex on the loose. Better watch out. Looks like Catherine's trying to steal your guy.
not what's happening.
Isn't it? I mean, it's only fair since I went after your girl. So what's it gonna be, huh? Fight to the death? Go ahead. Make your threats. Stake your claim.
I'm not gonna fight you.
Why? I'd fight me.
Chapter 4. The psychological war no one talks about. But the real battlefield wasn't Mystic Falls, the boarding house, or even the endless parade of villains trying to kill everyone. The real war, the one that lasted 8 seasons and nearly destroyed him, was happening entirely inside Damon's head. Damon Salvatore was fighting Damon Salvatore every single day. On one side, you had the cocky, sarcastic, I don't care about anyone monster who drank like a fish, killed without blinking, and used cruelty as a shield. On the other side was this terrified, lonely guy who just wanted to be loved without having to earn it every 5 minutes. These two versions of Damon were constantly at each other's throats. He wore that superiority complex like armor, because admitting he felt inferior was too dangerous. He'd rather be hated for being awful than pitied for being broken. Every time someone got too close, Elena, Stefan, even Alaric, he'd self-sabotage spectacularly, push them away, do something unforgivable, then hate himself even more for doing it. That's why the humanity switch was his favorite escape hatch. When feelings got too loud, too scary, too real, he'd just flip it off and become the version of himself that didn't have to feel the pain of abandonment, rejection, or being the eternal screw-up. But even with the switch off, that inner war never stopped. It just went quiet for a while. The Phoenix Stone arc is probably the clearest look we ever got into this psychological cage match. Trapped in his own personal hell, forced to relive every failure, every person he hurt, every time he proved his father right, that he was worthless. For the first time, Damon couldn't run, he couldn't drink, he couldn't snark his way out. He had to sit with himself, and it almost broke him permanently. That's the part no one really talks about enough. Damon wasn't just a bad boy with a tragic backstory. He was a man at war with his own mind, using violence, alcohol, and charm as weapons in a battle he was terrified of losing. Because if he ever stopped fighting himself long enough to actually heal, he might have to admit that the monster wasn't the whole story, and that maybe, just maybe, he was worth saving without having to earn it through grand gestures or constant proof. The psychological war inside Damon Salvatore wasn't loud explosions and epic fights. It was quiet, brutal, and exhausting, and it made every small moment of growth feel like a miracle. Chapter 5. The Darkest Hits and the Redemption That Wasn't Quite. Okay, let's not romanticize this too much. Before we hand Damon a trophy for personal growth, we need to talk about the times when I can fix him felt less like a romantic fantasy and more like collective gaslighting. Because Damon did some truly heinous stuff. He assaulted and compelled Caroline in Season 1 like it was nothing. He killed Jeremy, Elena's little brother, and then shrugged it off with the "he had the ring" excuse like that made it okay. He turned Andy into his personal blood bag and emotional punching bag. He went on revenge sprees that left trails of bodies whenever he felt rejected or jealous. And let's not forget how many times he threatened or actually hurt Elena's friends just because his feelings got too big and messy. These weren't little oopsies, these were red flag crime scenes. And yet the show kept giving him passes. Elena would cry, Damon would brood dramatically, say something heartbreakingly honest, and suddenly we were all supposed to move on because he's trying. The writers loved to punish him just enough to make the redemption feel earned, then forgive him faster than Mystic Falls could recover from the latest supernatural disaster. Compare that to his actual growth moments, and it gets complicated. Being stuck in the prison world with Bonnie forced him to care about someone other than himself or Elena. He learned loyalty. He started trusting people. He made real sacrifices, not just the flashy, I'll die for you kind, but the quiet ones too. By the end, he was willing to give up everything, including his shot at happiness, so Stefan could live. So was it redemption or just really good character development tied to a girlfriend? Here's the honest verdict. Damon got better, a lot better, but he was never fully fixed, and the show didn't always make him sit with the consequences long enough for it to feel earned. Some of those darkest hits were brushed under the rug a little too quickly, which made the I can fix him fantasy feel even more dangerous, because it taught us that if the guy is hot and sad enough, we'll forgive almost anything. Damon's journey proves that growth is messy, non-linear, and sometimes looks a lot like 2 steps forward and 1 very bloody step back. And that's exactly why the job of fixing him felt like an endless one. Chapter 6, The Verdict. Can anyone actually fix Damon Salvatore? So, after all the trauma, the brotherly cage matches, Elena's unpaid overtime, the non-stop psychological war, and the darkest hits mixed with genuine growth, the big question remains, can anyone actually fix Damon Salvatore? The short answer? No, not really. And that's not a failure, that's the point. Damon got better because he chose to, in the moments that mattered. He chose Stefan. He chose to sacrifice himself in the finale. He chose to stop being the bad guy who hurt everyone he loved. But he never became a completely different person. He stayed chaotic. He stayed sarcastic. He stayed the guy who would still probably snap if someone looked at Elena wrong. The writer's biggest mistake wasn't making him irredeemable. It was pretending that love alone was enough to fix deep-rooted trauma without real consistent work. Elena didn't fix him. Stefan didn't fix him. Damon had to start fixing himself, and even then, it was never a clean, tidy ending. That's what makes him so compelling. He represents the messy, frustrating, painfully human truth that some people aren't projects you can complete. They're ongoing construction sites with really good bone structure and a killer smirk. The real lesson from Damon Salvatore isn't don't date the bad boy, it's don't date the bad boy who refuses to do the inner work, because love can be the motivation, but it can't be the only tool in the toolbox. And maybe, just maybe, the fantasy of I can fix him is so addictive because deep down we all want to believe that even our worst parts can be loved, not in spite of them, but alongside them while we figure out how to become better at our own terms. Damon never stopped being a full-time job, but damn if he wasn't the most entertaining full-time job in television history. Whether you think he deserved Elena, deserved better writing, or deserved Stefan as a full-time unpaid therapist with excellent hair, one thing is crystal clear. Damon Salvatore remains the ultimate proof that some red flags are just really, really attractive when they come with that smirk and those vulnerable monologues. If you enjoyed this chaotic, messy, unhinged deep dive into why fixing Damon is a terrible idea that we'd all probably try anyway, do me a favor, smash that like button, subscribe for more character studies that roast our favorite disasters, and drop your hottest take in the comments. Who had the hardest full-time job? Elena trying to fix Damon, Stefan trying to save him, or the writers trying to redeem him without making us hate them? Thanks for hanging out with me through all this bourbon-soaked psychological warfare. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need a drink. Something strong, and definitely not from a vein. I'll see you in the next one.